It was great. It was much more detailed. It gave me a much better insight as to where my son was. And I was really pleased because, as I mentioned, data is everything. Whereas you can make some judgment calls based on how they're doing. Really, data gives you the real feedback that you need. And I think, and I truly believe that we need to continue that. I know that part of the issue and part of the funding, I think some of that, Pasquale, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, some of that, as far as the committees, is going away. Yes. Is that right? Yeah, it's not being funded. And that's unfortunate, because I was really sad to see that that part of our district is not being able to be funded. Because basically what that means is that the progress that the school has made to be able to keep track of the progress of our children's education and how well they're doing, unfortunately now is going to lag. Right, wrong? Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So I'm sad about that, and I really want to bring that back, because I really think that's important. To your point, education, technology, right? It's instant, right? You can get all that back, and you can instantly correct, or at least instantly address. So that's where I think investing in that, trying to find some funds to bring that back. Not Pasquale, but yeah. I want you to come back too. So so that's hopefully where we can bring it. Thanks.
Okay, so Frank, you're absolutely correct. That is one area of the district that we in this room should all be proud of. Our district grew 15% in the PARCC score from last year. And that is a true testament to the success that goes on in the classroom with the school teachers. But that can't happen unless we provide what is called SIP days. And on those SIP days, we provide trainers, or there's instructors that come in and train our teachers. They go through, we've implemented a new writing curriculum, a new math curriculum. All of these things feed back into the classroom when those teachers go back in, and that's what they're teaching in the classroom. And having those SIP days is important because it allows the teacher to do their professional development so that when they're back in the classroom, they can take what they just learned, implement it in the classroom, and then when it comes down to the Ames web testing twice a year and the PARCC test, our students are ready to go. Our writing program in the district is phenomenal. We've adopted the Lucy Calkins writing program. I've sat in on SIP days, several of them actually, and I cannot tell you when the trainer is in the room and the teachers are in there, those teachers are so attentive and they are taking notes because they're eager and excited to take what they just learned and bring it back to the classroom for the kids. And the students writing, we're far above. They're doing such a great job. So yes, definitely the district needs to be proud with our PARCC scores. 15% increase. Thank you.
All right, to stay on the question, how do we continue? We've been doing great. Now we have a big change. How do we continue to increase these PARCC scores? It's all going to come through on the funding. That's what the grade centers allow us to do now. The grades that need to have the technology, that need to have the training, that need to have the difference in curriculum, this is going to open up the doors for that. We cannot sit idle and expect just the teachers alone to continue year after year after year to bring up the testing scores. It all comes down to the financials, the backing of the community. We cannot be left behind with technology, because as these tests move forward, let's face it, I can ask my second grader to look something up on the internet, she can find it. If I'm having problems with Adobe, plain and simple, my freshman at Ridgewood can come help me with Adobe. We have Chromebooks. Do we need to move to iPads? I think so at some point when we get there financially. That's the trend, that's the way it's going. So the answer to how do we keep improving is the budget needs to be redone, rebalanced, and we need to figure out how to switch money from other areas to the grades that are currently down on those test scores, and how do we bring them up, and how do we prep them for the future tests? Because I can tell you, if you've looked at some of the homework from the parents, your 7th grade homework for your kids is not the same as we had in 7th grade. We have to Google how to do these problems. The kids are advancing faster than us. So we need to find a way financially to help the teachers facilitate all of that education through to keep them up with everybody else and hopefully even surpass our surrounding communities. Great question, Frank.
Okay, Nick? Nick Lasacco? No? Okay, no, okay. Vesna? You're gonna pass. Last question, Gabby?
Who used to be one of our future moderators, so welcome back, Gabby.
Thank you. I know financial stability is a big question and a big concern through the whole district. However, we can't lose sight of the people who are responsible for our education for our children. They've done a great job with PARC testing and everything else. What do you plan to do to work with our administration and our teachers to hire the best and keep the best in our schools for our children?
Great question, Gabby. You know, when we look at budget and we look at salaries, you know, number one thing people look at when you're in a deficit, people will tend to say that your teachers make too much. But in the end of the day, Gabby, in order to retain the best, we have to pay. And we need to set certain standards and criteria for them, developmental things, professional development, that as they progress through these stages, that, you know, the compensation come along with their years of being in the position or in the job. So, you know, with budget issues, you know, salaries will always be a question of contention. People will always question, you know, do we pay our teachers too much? But I agree. In order to get the best, have the best, we need to have the best teaching our kids in the classroom. So, good question. Thank you.
So I have a lot to learn as far as certifications. I'm actually looking really forward to the training, if I get elected, the training that comes along to it, because I think maybe what's not well understood is everything that goes into being a teacher, as well as all the certifications. And I'm hazarding a guess, but I'm looking at it from a employer versus employee and the business, right? What's the business need? The children. Who's the right staff? What's the right staff for those particular kids? And I think year to year, because you have new kids coming in, it changes, right? So whereas somebody mentioned we have an increase in special ed music, an increase in special ed, right? So I think right staffing, evaluating the teachers that we have on staff, making sure that they're the right fit, and constantly reevaluating based on the children that we have coming in. And again, you know, I'm looking at this as not necessarily purely from a business model, and because that's just what I am. You know, I know now, but I know that you know, as far as certifications, as far as the needs of the students, making sure that there's alignment, and then making sure that there's efficiencies. I think those are two things that no matter what you're in, those two have to be in alignment in order to get the best work out of that student or that worker, however you want to look at it, but also making sure that the way that you get that best work is that they're getting the best training, that they're getting the best resources available to them. So I think it's an evaluation across the board as to what our needs are currently and that's something that has to be reoccurring. It has to be reevaluating, because the students that come in one year are not the same students that come in another year, as well as our teachers keeping up. Are they progressing, and those evaluations. So I would say making sure that we're right staffed and have the right resources, and quite frankly, if we recognize that there's a need based on what we have coming in, we got to figure that out. And if things aren't managing, coming to making ends meet, then we've got to reach out and let folks know. Be like, here's what we've got coming in. We've got to figure this out sooner rather than later. And that's where that reevaluation process kicks in, to make sure that happens sooner rather than on the back end. So, great question. Thank you.
All right, Gabby throws a tough one, so I'm going to dive right in. I'm putting my neck on the line. Here it goes. How do we retain our good teachers? How do we keep our good teachers? It needs to be run just like you would run a business. Is a business successful without good employees? Can employees make more than the business makes? It has to work together. So looking forward to another contract 2 years from now, we do have good teachers. Our teachers are paid well in District 80. Don't let anybody fool you. Now we've hit an unfortunate point where we're just missing 17 teachers, hopefully bringing some of them back in to where they can be specialized, but we don't have those numbers yet. So the answer to the question is, if the teachers really love the district and love how the district is taking care of them, they need to work with the school board, with the district, to teach them there. For those that don't know, once a teacher hits tenure, as long as it's status quo and they're doing their job, they can't get let go. You can't fire them for no reason to say, oh, a test score went down. They're locked in there. So it's not an easy task to say, how do we keep the best? It's how do they work together with the school to keep progressing themselves and making it beneficial for all involved. It's a very difficult situation, but that's something that I believe, coming off of this last teacher's contract, has to be worked on for the future. I've personally reviewed every single page of the teacher's contract. It's a great contract. It was. But now we need help. And that's going to have to be something that's going to be a rough decision, and people are going to be thrown to the wolves on it. And I'm sure there's people in the room that have gotten enough backlash off of it from people that don't know fully what it entails. So the answer to keeping the best, retaining the best, is coming up with a foolproof evaluation process to make sure the teachers are doing their jobs and address whether or not we're giving them the tools they need to do their jobs. But they have to be on board with us as well to continue the school, to continue to the future, to continue their jobs and look towards greater things. It has to be all together. There is no simple answer to that. We cannot just fire and say, we got this great teacher, we're bringing them in next year. But is the district, with the financial situation, providing the best possible situation for the teachers to be the best they can? And I think that's really what the board has to work on. And that's kind of an internal thing between the board and the teachers union, that our great community, our great teachers, our great education that we have had here continues and continues to grow through this transition. Thank you.
So I'm not yet familiar with the current budget and the pay structure that has been passed. However, to me, like Tim was saying, it should be kind of looked at as a business. If the teachers perform, I think we should try to implement some type of incentive tier-based system where we set a standard for what the kids' standardized testing should be and their grades should be, and try to go from there. So basically set a base pay and then have the tier system based off of what the kids' performance is during the year, which will in turn retain the best talent for our teachers, but as well improve our kids' scores and provide the best educational experience for our kids.